It's GamerGate time.
This person working at Kotaku wrote an article about Sweet Baby Inc. Of course, I spoke to the team at Sweet Baby and infiltrated the Discord group, rallying against them to try to paint a cleaner picture of what the fuck is going on. So by infiltrated, what they're really trying to say is that she joined the Discord group. So Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what some gamers think it does. No, one company isn't forcing diversity into all of your favorite games. This is the person here who wrote the article. Does the article mention anything about the Sweet Baby Inc. CEO being a full-blown racist? Because I have a feeling this article doesn't mention it. And then they say this: hi, you can't be racist against white people. Thanks for tuning in. Nobody thinks this is true.
Alrighty, take out the Pivo, guys. This is going to be a long stream. Oh, the forbidden pouch. Yo. The not so forbidden pouch. Hey, yo. What it do?
No real people.
Don't speak unless spoken to, Asmongold. And especially today, on such an important day for women. Tax
this is something that only morons think.
Mayor
it doesn't
Cat.
matter how much that you repeat.
Mayor Cat, not you too. Mayor Cat, when were you going to tell me that you hate women? When were you going to tell me? Sorry. I love doing the cat head squish thing. All right. Am I the only one who doesn't know what GamerGate is? Okay, I'll give you a quick TLDR for anyone who doesn't know what GamerGate is. In like 2016, I believe, and the years following and the years prior, there was this big controversy where I don't even remember her fucking name. That's crazy. Let's look up what her name was. Zoe Quinn. That's who I was thinking of. No, not Anita. Not Anita, because Anita came like a little bit after. But before we get onto that, let us discuss Zoe Quinn, the Zoe Quinn story. But before I get into that, there was context I was missing. Fuckers. Oh, before I get into this, for anyone who doesn't know anything about GamerGate, really quickly, this will be a really short stun lock. You know how when conservatives say, no, the state's right, and then the rest of us say, state's right to do what? Because we all know it's a slavery issue. It's not a state's right issue. It's very close to what happened here with the GamerGate era stuff, where a lot of dipshits online will be like, no, we just care about good video game journalism. We care about ethics in video game journalism. But really, they just don't like women. That's all you need to know. Just keep that in mind as we cover this really quickly. There was this video game developer, Zoe Quinn. We will pull up her wiki page so you guys can get some visuals as well. And we will just simply read this. Where is it? I'm trying to find where the original thing started that suggested that she... Let me pull up maybe an article. Zoe Quinn journalism. Oh, they them pronouns? Thank you for letting me know. All right. Wait a minute. Wait. Here we are. The TLDR is Zoe Quinn, video game developer, made video games, as you might imagine, and started getting harassed and accused of using her female powers to get the game more traction than it deserved. And I will read the article here. With interest growing, positive press coming in, she put the game on Greenlight, a community review section of the popular gaming site Steam, a sort of PC version of Apple Play Store, or Apple App Store, Play, whatever. If Depression Quest was approved, the game she made, for inclusion on the service, it would open up a new audience of millions. Oh, look, the meme that I was telling. Oh my God, this meme looks so ancient, really 2014. A typical GamerGate related meme. And very openly incelly. I aged instantly seeing that meme. Yeah, it's an ancient meme of the previous age. Yeah. Oh, Jumble, thank you for the 4 months. But very quickly, it became obvious that being a woman and setting out to make quirky, semi-autobiographical games was going to make her a target. In an interview with Vice Media at the time, Quinn spoke of receiving harassing phone calls and rape threats. I started getting stuff sent to my email. Oh, I saw your game on Greenlight. I hope you kill yourself. She withdrew the game only to resubmit it later, more determined. This time it was approved. But the hate never stopped. Looking back, it's obvious how starkly monetary this all was. The Tinder for Gamergate had been there for months. All it needed was a lit match. Yeah, because context, Anita Sarkeesian was making videos about video games and like misogyny in video games and a lack of inclusivity in video games. And so I think Anita Sarkeesian might have kicked it off, and then this like put it in full swing. Then in August, Quinn's ex-boyfriend uploaded a blog post about their breakup. He alleged that she had cheated on him several times, mentioning her relationship with a games writer for the US gaming site Kotaku, Nathan Grayson. The post was linked to on the internet chat site 4chan, popular hangout for gamers. Some saw a confirmation of their fears about games and industry and collusion and corruption. Others saw an opportunity to bully another female game developer. It was very precise and deliberate, says Quinn. I fully believe it was there to ruin my life. As soon as it hit 4chan, they immediately went into get this bitch mode. They started doxing me immediately, asking about hacking skills. Now, the story is like more convoluted, but it's really not important. Like the details aren't important, basically, is what I'm trying to explain. Gamergate was never about misogyny. That's why everyone knows who Nathan Grayson is. Oh, wait. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, again, the concern. What is this Colbert Report? There was a Colbert Report?
So I speak for all gamers when I say the media should stop talking to critics.
I didn't even know this. And here's the other thing. I'm pretty sure all of the I wasn't very clear. Let me re-explain. We're doing a quick explanation of Gamergate back in the 2014 to 2016 era, which one of the primary catalysts was Zoe Quinn, which convinced people, oh yes, actually guys, Zoe Quinn, her game is performing well on Steam because she slept with this gaming journalist and they wrote a good review of her game. And that's the reason why she got a good game. And we need to care about video game journalism and ethics in video game journalism. But none of it, as far as I know, was proven. as far as I know, there's never been actual proof that she slept her way to having a good game. And it like even the articles that talk about it describe it as an allegation. So yeah. It was debunked. It was found that an ex of hers was spreading these rumors around. There was literally no collusion. Her game wasn't even reviewed. And the article we just read said the journalist never even wrote a review. Nice. 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 You know, where are all those dudes that talk about like, oh, believe women? You know how many women are trying to ruin men's careers? And then when a dude like makes shit up about a woman, everyone's like, oh, well, it has to be true. What? What? Okay. Yeah. Who needs to do their due diligence, right? Men have never lied, actually. Yeah. There was also good articles about the game. She couldn't have been sleeping with everyone anyway. I'm pretty sure he didn't even review the game. He just recommended it. I did a panel with Anita in 2014 at a gaming event. I didn't know who she was at the time, then quickly became very famous in Target. I feel lucky the panel wasn't really distributed on the internet. It was early 2014. Yeah. What's quick about this explanation of GamerGate? Are you trying to make me cry? Because if you are, you're going to succeed. So I hope you're happy. I hope it brings you satisfaction to make women cry on the one day women get. A little happy? Wow. Unbelievable. See? And this is why we need to kill all men. Done. Joke. That was a joke. Just in case. That was a joke. Anyways, even if she had slept with one journalist, one review wouldn't make the game successful. The story is so dumb. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. It's idiotic. It's fucking idiotic. How many people... Actually, here's a question. How many people have read an article about a game, like a game review, a written game review, not a video on YouTube, a written game review, and went and bought a game because of it? Because I can tell you, as someone with tens of thousands of hours playing on Steam, I have never done that ever. Ever. No, you don't understand, bro. That review was so crazy. Maybe one ever. Don't get me wrong. I've watched streams before where people recommend games and I'm like, oh, I'll try that game out. Oh, my favorite streamer likes this game. Okay. Or I've watched like YouTube videos and like the YouTuber will recommend a game and I've bought a lot of games like that. I've never read an article and went and gone and bought a game. At the very least, I can't even think of a single time that I've done it. So the idea that one review is what made or was going to make or break her career is so silly. Fucking so silly. Anyways, enough about this. That was the TLDR on Gamergate. Then I guess the internet decided to just like dox and like harass and death threat, rape threat these women. Any women who were talking about video games and sexism in the same breath were harassed and, you know, shamed off the internet. Yeah. Look at the 140K likes versus 42K likes on a John Oliver video because he showed Anita Sarkeesian's side of things. Yep. How dare he do that? How dare he humanize her? That's terrible.
Actually, Denbo, I just wanted to bring this to your attention. But due to current glass ceiling economics and general misogyny, we've actually cut down Women's Day to women's 18 hours. Hope you have a good 3/4 a day.
Stupid. Alrighty. So when people say GamerGate 2, what they mean is it's time to go after some women. Because they're trying to make our games woke. No! Not wokeifying our games. And it's so silly too, because all of the opinions from like the feminists who spoke up about video games, they didn't have any crazy opinions. None of it was crazy. Literally none of it was crazy. And it's because you can criticize something because you like the thing. You don't use the return YouTube dislike extension? I'll download it eventually. I love that the whole Sweet Baby Inc. thing is just gamers realizing 10 years later they lost Gamergate. Yeah. Yeah. What's next? Games political? What's next? Dune's gonna be political? I mean, the thing is, people got mad, right? Because for the longest time online, gamers insisted that their medium be taken seriously. That like video games are in fact art. And that video games are not just something that kids do. Video games are not just something to pass the time. Video games can be moving pieces of art in the same way that like a movie could, bring you to tears, or a book could. And in the same way, video games have the capacity to be political. They have the capacity to become art. And therefore, if you think that you want video games to be viewed as a legitimate form of media, you also have to recognize that media gets criticized. In the same way that movies get criticized, in the same way that TV shows get criticized and books get criticized, guess what? Your video game will also get criticized. And I mean, I've been rewatching Kill la Kill recently. I'm only on like episode 9. I don't remember how many episodes are in the first season or in the season, but great anime. Great anime. I don't remember my opinions on the show. I remember watching it, and that's all I remembered. So I was like, let me watch it and see how I feel about it. And one of the primary problems with Kill la Kill is that all of the characters are like mostly nude. And I was like, I wonder how this will hold up now that I'm an adult. And I did not realize how good of an explanation they made for the outfits. Sorry. For anyone who doesn't know what Kill la Kill is, great anime. And just need to pull up a photo for you guys. So you guys can, really understand. For science. I'm never beating the weeb allegations. Good. These are the two. There's got to be better images. How is this the best image? Oh, wonder if I could show. Wonder if I could show the transformation scene.
Ryuko Matoi carries a large weapon shaped like half of a pair of scissors. She's looking for the woman with the other half who killed her father. Satsuki Kiryuin, student council president of Hanuji Academy, is said to know the woman's identity, so Ryuko transfers there. Those who arrive at the school receive a special Goku uniform, and Satsuki has used that power to rule the school in fear.
Stop. Stop it. Basically, they put on these outfits, these school uniforms, and then they transform and they make them really strong. And this is what the outfit looks like. It's educational, guys. Don't worry, it's educational. It's educational, guys. Not the dub. No, not the dub. And then here's the main villain of the story. At the very least, the main villain of the story up until the point that I'm at. Wow. I'm learning so much. I'm learning so much. But I was watching and I was like, oh God, am I going to dislike this? Or is this going to be like, as an adult, will I rewatch this and dislike it because it's just fan service? Or as an adult, will I watch it and actually think it's based the way that I think Bayonetta is based? Why is one white and the other is political? Stop. This is usually to get around YouTube copyright. YouTube anime copyright. They usually do like they mirror it or they like fucking rotate it, or I guess now they like do this so that it doesn't, so they can keep it uploaded. But anyways, as an adult though, as I'm watching it, I'm like, they explain it. The idea is like the characters that transform or whatever, their resolve is so strong that like being nude, if being nude, being embarrassed about being nude is what stops them from achieving their goals, then how strong can their resolve really be? And like there's like a character growth moment or whatever. Basically, the main character is embarrassed about the outfit that they're wearing and they're like, this is like, I'm just, everything is out. This is embarrassing. And then she has like the confrontation with the character, and the character's like, you don't deserve to have that outfit. Someone that is that's embarrassed about showing a little skin doesn't deserve the power you have. If your clothing has that much power over you, you don't deserve it. So it's like, oh. And that's like a common thing that's brought up almost every episode. The idea that like people are controlled by material things around them or whatever. Is this supposed to be a good reason? LMAO. What's happening? Well, if that chatter is going to make me uncomfortable, I'm going to make everyone else uncomfortable too. I think that that's only fair. I think that that's only fair. Anyways, not relevant. My point is, there are a lot of instances where I find the excessive, gratuitous fan service in Japan really bad. But I have a lot of respect for writers that can actually write good female characters. And all of the female characters in that show are amazing. They're all very well written. And they're very shameless about it. It's like, yeah, you're going to get fan service in this show. Too bad. Get used to it. And the main character at one point is even like, why does the outfit even look like this? And it's like, I don't know, ask the person who made it. So I appreciated it, and it doesn't get in the way. But then there are lots of instances where it literally there's no purpose at all. There's no purpose at all. It doesn't serve as like a way to progress the show. I mean, don't they make fun of the fan service in the show multiple times? Yeah. I mean, it's a gag anime. They're like constantly making fun of themselves. It's like persistently making fun of themselves. Mako is like one of the best characters in the show. I actually love her so much this time. So yeah, it's good. It's good. It's about political structures as well. Oh yeah, I mean the show starts off strong with like it's a homeroom class talking about how Hitler rose to power, and then it immediately cuts to the fascistic dictator that currently runs the school and the neighboring town of the school. Like it's so on the nose this time around. I was like, oh, the show is fully cognizant. It's fully aware of how silly this is. Okay, got it. Anyways, moving on. Sadly, you can't watch Kill la Kill with your friends because of all of the nudity. And there's so many weird scenes in there that I do criticize, but all of that was just to say, look, man, if you're willing to sit down and write an explanation for me, and I'm down to buy your explanation, like it's good enough, I'll ignore the fan service. I'm fine with ignoring it. But if you can't at all, it's like, dude, just take it out. There's no reason for this to be in here. Versus most anime where like the characters are completely scantily clad and it's not mentioned at all. It's just like, I tried watching Gurren Lagann. I watched like 7 episodes, and why, like literally, why is that one chick just wearing a bikini? Like, I don't even understand. Like, it doesn't even, like, no one in her town wore a bikini. No one around her wears one. Like, she's just like, no, I'm just gonna not wear anything. It's, oh my God, I tripped and now my bikini slipped off. Whoa. It's like, what? Huh? Whereas at least it's addressed in Kill la Kill, where the main character is embarrassed about being in something so exposed and is like, I feel humiliation in being dressed this way, but this is the only way that I can have the power that I want. So I like that they address it. That's all. I like that they address it. And that's enough for me. That's enough for me. Please stop hating on mecha. It affects chatters. It's different when they acknowledge it. Yeah. She's literally neurodivergent and a minor. Oh, fuck, you're right. Oh, fuck, you're right. Gurren Lagann is good enough that I'll ignore the cringe. I don't think I'm going to finish it. I don't think I'm going to finish that anime. Alrighty. So, company, Sweet Baby Inc. Let's go to Reddit. The perfect place to go. Out of the loop. What's going on with Sweet Baby Inc. controversy? I'm not really into AAA gaming sphere. I've heard some people even calling it GamerGate 2, and here is someone explaining it. Sweet Baby is a story writing company hired to supplement video game studios' writing staff. The idea is that a studio can hire them to flesh out a game's script and storyline. The company is transparent about their goals of approaching writing with a focus on representation and marginalized groups. For a growing number of players, this is a dog whistle for the unwanted insertion of political ideologies or other topics they aren't interested in. In other words, a distraction from what really matters, making a good game. You can easily find examples of these sorts of people on social media. Many releases, such as Suicide Squad, have had Sweet Baby credited as part of the writing staff, and these games have been a major disappointment for many players. A Sweet Baby credit is now being thought of like leprosy and an indicator of games to avoid. The company has become an easy scapegoat for the growing dissatisfaction with major releases. That same dissatisfaction with major studios has led to the success of games like Baldur's Gate 3 and Palworld, as players are starting to explore other studios who are taking different approaches to their games. This last paragraph is not accurate. That is not why people are playing Baldur's Gate 3 or Palworld. People aren't playing those because they want to avoid Sweet Baby Inc. games. They're playing those games because the games are actually good. That's it. Also, it's so funny to also mention Helldivers as if Helldivers is not a political game. Players are starting to explore other studios who take different approaches to their games, like Helldivers. You know, like Baldur's Gate 3, the game that lets you set any genitals you want and any chest you want. The one that made that guy fucking rage. No, wait, that was the other game. That was Starfield, whatever the fucking Bethesda game is. My dad thought Dune wasn't political. Also, all of the characters are pansexual. Well, they're player sexual, technically, is what the in-lore explains. It's also stupid because there's nothing wrong with increasing diversity. In fact, I know this might be crazy. I would even say that it's good. I know. Like, you know what's the best example? That nobody complains about because it's been too long or whatever. What is it? Walking Dead. Like the two protagonists? Not straight white dudes. And guess what? It's a great fucking game. You can include the diversity and the game can still be good. And actually, increasing diversity is good. Sorry. Like something in my nose. Walking Dead? The Telltale games. I'm talking about the Walking Dead Telltale games. Have people not played those? Wrong zombie IP? No. No, guys. I know which one I'm talking about. You guys have not played them? These ones. Very good game if you haven't played it. Very, very, very good game if you haven't played it. It probably still holds up as well. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm deciding whether or not to ban a chatter. Public execution, you guys think? Because, like, they haven't done anything wrong, but they're just kind of annoying. If a game studio wanted to make a game with ample misandry and misogyny, I'd assume that's their right to do so and the market's right to not buy it or scoop it up. It's good if it brings in more sales. Diversity at the expense of sales is not a positive outcome. You guys get what I mean when I say, like, they haven't done anything, like, wrong, but they're just kind of annoying. Like, it's giving Invisible Hand. It's giving, like, bottom of the barrel peanut brain discourse. Like, yeah, we all understand how markets work. Okay? Yes, we understand how markets work. Thank you. Thank you. We know. We're talking about the very, like, what I assume all of you guys understood by me saying having diversity is good, which is having more diversity leads people or causes people to be inundated with things that are not them, which gives them better life experiences, which makes them better people. Obviously, this has nothing to do with profitability. Profitability is like 5 conversations below this. It's very Reddit, right? You know what I mean? They must be dealt with justice? Yeah, you're right. Right. I can't set the precedent of allowing someone like that in the chat. You make a great point. You make a really good point. Excellent point. Excellent point. It's funny how diversity somehow always comes at the expense of sales for these people, as if diversity is a bad thing. Having more diversity gives you better storytelling. Having a room full of white men sort of limits the kinds of stories you can tell. I also think that the stories that you tell are going to be worse. Like, here's the thing, right? Diversity doesn't impact sales. Gameplay and story does. Yeah. You know what impacts sales? How many fucking microtransactions you have in your fucking game. That's what impacts sales. All right? That is what impacts sales. There's a reason Baldur's Gate was so successful, and it's because the devs were like, we're not going to microtransaction. We're not going to be pushing out half of a game and then selling DLCs that finish the game. We are going to sell a completed game, and you are going to like it. Yeah, we have characters of a bunch of different races. Yeah, all of the characters are down to have sex with you, regardless of who you are. Yeah, it's a fun game. And the thing is, I'm going to say something very bold, which is, if the only good characters in your game are the white dudes, your game is worse. Tell me, look me in the eyes and tell me that Baldur's Gate 3 would have been better if Lae'zel acted like who's an easy person to what's an easy cultural reference for, like, female characters that don't do anything. Because I'm thinking of a bunch, but, like, any of the women from Indiana Jones? Bober, Wallflower, Princess Peach? Yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah. Sakura from Naruto? Okay, all right. I forget that you guys are weebs, so you actually know about Sakura. The Bond women? Yeah. Tell me that Baldur's Gate 3 would have been better if Lae'zel was just a fucking Bond girl and was just, like, useless. No. A huge part of Lae'zel's character and her appeal is that she's fucking insane. And she believes in her fucking religion cult so much that she's, like, ready to kill you for it. Like, that is part of the appeal of the character. Writing good female characters, writing good non-white characters makes your show, movie, video game better. Did you listen to Assyrian's voice actor, Neil, and his speech when he got the award for Best Voice Actor? He literally said that Baldur's Gate made people feel represented and seen. Yeah. I mean, that was like the appeal of Elizabeth in Bio Infinite. She was one of the first NPC companions that was helpful and had a personality. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The fact that we went through all those years just for Sakura to end up in the kitchen is frustrating. Just so dog shit, man. You know what the most fucked up thing? Sakura is actually so OP. And later on, when she trains under the Hokage, she's actually like strong as hell. And they just make her useless. They just make her so fucking useless. And so annoying. So, anyways. What is this? Someone linked this in chat. It says every episode of The Last of Us.
Freeze, little girl. We're not gonna hurt you, but we'll kill you.
I'm not scared of you people. I'm 14. I'm openly lesbian. I don't give a fuck.
Your sexuality has nothing to do with this, okay? Why'd you bring that into
Oh,
this?
but it does. Get behind me, Ellie.
Wait a minute, she's infected.
She's gotta go.
Now we're definitely gonna eat you.
I'm starting to think that some of the people on this show are worse than the zombies. Yeah.
Maybe that's the real point of the show.
Kind of insightful, actually. I haven't thought about it that way.
I love you like my daughter.
I love you like a father in a totally non-erotic way, because as previously established, I am a full lesbian.
All adds up. Ellie, get behind me. Ellie, run. Ellie, run. Ellie, run.
Oh, I keep finding myself in worse and worse situations.
Ellie, get behind me.
Yeah, it's pretty close to The Last of Us, yeah. I stand by what I said, though. Everyone who was involved in Ellie's character, the actress, the director, even the costume team, they really convinced me that the actress for Ellie was like 13 years old. I actually couldn't even believe that the actress is actually 19 years old in real life. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Non-binary. I couldn't even believe that they're 20 now. Yeah, I know. And they do not look not physically. I'm not talking about necessarily physically, because they also do. Bella does have like a very young face, like a very baby face. But just like the way that Bella, they wrote the character that they play, the way that Ellie is written in the show, it's just perfect. The dialogue sounds like a snarky teenager. And even, again, like the costume design, the fact that they managed to make her look very kiddish, her being the character Ellie. Oh, Bella uses any pronouns? Oh, okay, cool. Let me pull up I'm trying to pull up like a photo of the actor. Like a red carpet type of photo. So you guys can see what Ellie's actress looks like. Oh, they quirky, I see. Okay, the actor also looks really young. Okay. Okay, the actor also does in general just look really young as well. Now that I'm looking at all these photos, I'm like, oh yeah. I think this is the only photo that I can find that makes the actor look actually 19. But I mean, even like the way that they did her hair and the way that they did her outfits and everything. Great. All right. Enough about this. Let's watch Sweet Baby Inc. Let's go.
This person working at Kotaku wrote
Wash, thank you for the tier one.
an article about Sweet Baby Inc. Of course, I spoke to the team at Sweet Baby and infiltrated the Discord group, rallying against them to try to paint a cleaner picture of what the fuck is going on. So by infiltrated, what they're really trying to say is that she joined the Discord group. So Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what some gamers think it does. No, one company isn't forcing diversity into all of your favorite games. This is the person here who wrote the article. Does the article mention anything about the Sweet Baby Inc. CEO being a full-blown racist? Because I have a feeling this article doesn't mention it. And then they say this: hi, you can't be racist against white people. Thanks for tuning in. Nobody thinks this is true.
All righty, let's do it. Let me take out the diagram again. Let's take it out again. Now,
Swooner.
thank you, Brian. Thank you for the 3 months. All right. There is a disconnect every single time this happens where someone says you can't be racist against white people because people don't use the same definitions for the same words. Think Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. At this point, we call Frankenstein's monster Frankenstein so often that Frankenstein's monster has become Frankenstein. The same thing has happened with first generation and second generation immigrants. This is probably the most fucked up thing, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. So, first generation, pop culture, thank you for the tier 1. Guys, which one refers to kids that are born, for this purpose, we're just going to say the US, kids that are born in the US who have parents from other countries? Are those kids first gen or second gen? So, it's actually second generation, but everybody calls it first generation to the point where it is accurate to also call someone first generation now. But the term first generation immigrant means people who were born somewhere else and came here. Second generation is kids that were born here from parents that came from somewhere else. And everybody uses second gen to mean first gen, or maybe the other way around. And there's like, you can look at English and how language changes and all this other stuff, but it has happened so often that people call kids born here first gen that now it is accurate to say first gen or second gen to describe someone born here. Because language is something that is constantly changing. And once people use a word enough times in a certain way, that becomes the definition of the word. Because words only mean what we use them to mean. You part your hair in the same style as Asmongold. I'm just trying to look as sexy as my hero. I'm still working on the balding, though. I'm thinking of like manually inducing the balding via, I don't know, waxing maybe. Just take a little bit off the top. Turn the corner into the tooth blood corner. Stop. Stop. Literally, how literally means literally? Yes. No longer means literally. Yes. The same thing. Same thing. We've used the word literally so many times to describe something that is not literal that now one of the definitions of literally is that it is in fact actually not literal. So blah, 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 words. People are using generally in these cases two different definitions of racism. Now, the definition that most normies are aware of is the common definition that we can think of, which is that you hate a certain group of people because of their race, and presumably you are inclined to treat them with such disdain. Or maybe not necessarily hate, but dislike, judge, whatever, which is also known as like general prejudice, right? If you, I don't know, every time you see a white person in public, you call them the C word, the saltine word, and you have like a shrine in your home dedicated to just like a bunch of Ritz products that you burn on a daily basis because you hate those products so much, just like the people so much. You're probably pretty racist, right? You don't like those, you're probably pretty anti-white people, pretty racist. Okay. Unfortunately, whenever people say, and this is a rule of thumb, so you don't look like a fucking moron like Asmongold is probably about to look, actually that he already looks like, when people use the term racism against, you can't be racist against white people, the definition that they are using is this one. Prejudice plus power is a stipulative definition of racism used in the United States. It is a sociological definition of racism that suggests that in order for a certain group of people to be racist against, in order for you to be racist against a group of people, you have to actually have the power to make those people's lives worse. So if Congress was 90% Black and business owners were 90% Black, and most important bodies, not just of government, but of business, were majority Black Americans, then yeah, in that world, you could be racist against white people because the people with all of the power are, in fact, not white. I've looked through sociological definitions, dictionaries online. I couldn't find one that used prejudice plus power definition. I can look a little bit further and try and find it, but this was my understanding of like where it, one of the corners that this is distributed is the best way I can explain it. Basically, all of this is just to say, this is the definition that people use whenever they say you can't be racist against white people. They're not saying you can't hate white people. They're not saying you can't mistreat white people or that mistreating white people is fine. That's not what those people are saying. They're saying non-white people hold so little power in this country in all regards that it is very difficult to actually systemically and fundamentally harm these people. Other races in the United States they simply do not have the power to actually oppress white people. They don't. And this is just factually true, given the fact that so many CEOs are white, so many Congress people are white, all but one of our presidents has been white, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And another key note here. Excuse me, I remembered a fucking whatever podcast clip about white people racism, and it's making me lose my mind because I'll show you guys later. Another key point here is that whenever people say that, usually those people are Americans, and usually they're only talking about America. Okay? And this is a common thing that people will like bring up to try and own the argument. They're like, you know, actually white people are mistreated in this country. You know, white people don't have all the power in this country. And that's nice. The person is speaking in English. They're from the United States. They're talking about the United States. They're obviously not talking about fucking Japan or South Africa or whatever the fuck. They're talking about the US. That's what they're talking about. Stop playing dumb. You know that that's what they're talking about. This is so silly. I had explained this concept to coworkers a few years ago, which is something they never heard before. This was 2017. Since then, they went further right after COVID. So LMAO, yeah. Racism doesn't fundamentally affect white people. Prejudice can affect everyone emotionally, but racism functionally oppresses. Yeah. And then there is one other thing that is important to note here as well, which is the statement, you can't be racist against white people with all the context that we now have, does not mean that white people never get mistreated in this country. That's not what that means. This is a problem with like trying to explain privilege to other people. When you try and say, well, you have white privilege or you have male privilege. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm poor. I didn't get to go to college. I have a broken family and I am going to work fast food for the next 5-10 years of my life. How do I have privilege? And what I like to tell those people is, think about being able-bodied. Think about being able-bodied. Being able-bodied is a privilege. Everyone in here who does not have any chronic physical issues and is not impaired physically in any way, you are able-bodied and you have privileges that other people do not have. When you walk into a store, never once do you think about if there is a ramp that leads into the store. When you apply for a job, you never once have to think about how am I going to talk to my employer about whether or not that they have like proper, disability protections or whether they have proper disability, like even facilities or no, you never have to think about it. When you go to the bathroom, you don't have to even think about if there's a stall big enough for example, a wheelchair. You just go to the bathroom. It's like, I got to pee so bad. Oh, yeah. Oh, whew. You don't have to think about it. And that is what privilege is. Privilege is all of the things you benefit from that you kind of don't notice that you're benefiting from. And in the same way, white privilege is you never really thinking about if the police officers are going to be needlessly aggressive to you. You never have to think about, well, I sure hope that I'm polite enough to this police officer and he's having a good enough day that he doesn't decide to do a random what is it called? A search of my car and be like, well, I have suspicion. I have reasonable suspicion. Get out of the car. You never think about that. You're like, fucking cops. Ugh. Now, of course, this is not to say that white people have not been mistreated by the cops. No. Cops are power-hungry freaks inherently, and they will bully anyone they can get their hands on, white people included. But the thing is, when they see white people, they're going to be significantly nicer. And if you play along with cops, especially as a woman privilege with cops is so huge because women are just seen as non-threatening. They're just very non-threatening. And so like I'm never afraid of cops. That is, I have that privilege that like my biggest fear with a cop is like being sexually assaulted by a cop. I am not afraid that a cop is going to take out a gun and fucking shoot me because I just don't. I know that they do not see me as threatening. So it's not that your life is easy. Well, you're privileged. No. That seems like a fair amount of fear. Yeah, but my point is more like, as long as I am in a public area, even semi-public, I can be nice to the cops and be like, oh, I'm really sorry, blah, 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 blah. And they're not, I'm not in fear of my life. I know that they don't see me as much of a threat. And that alone is a huge privilege. That by itself. And, you know, it's important to recognize the privilege that you have. And it's important to know that you have that privilege so that you can use it. Just reduce it down to being white is never your detriment when talking to the cops. I've never had a police pull their service pistol on me during a routine traffic stop. Exactly. Yep. Bars on the floor if privileges. I'm not afraid you'll kill me. America, do better. You're not wrong, dude. You're not fucking wrong. Yep. I'm bald and white, so I'm always the friend who talks to the cops if we're in a group. You are so fucking based. Oh my God. Baldies, rise up. Can we get some fucking baldies in chat? Can we fucking rise up? But in the same vein, like if I'm hanging out with people, if I'm hanging out with male friends or I'm hanging out with black male friends, I will talk to the cops because I know I will be treated more leniently than they will. I know that they're looking for any opportunity to cuff some people. And maybe with me, they'll be like, okay, all right, go ahead, go. I've seen friends get out of tickets for having a rear, what are they called? The headlights? Whatever the backlights are called. You guys know what I'm talking about. Just by playing stupid, because cops also love ego stroking, and they love ego stroking from cute women. And she was like, oh my God, my taillights are out. Thank you so much for telling me that they were out. I had no idea that they were, you know, honestly, I don't even feel safe like driving home right now. Like I think I'll just call a company to tow the car. Can I ask for a ride home if that's okay with you? Because I don't want to be a danger on the road. And they're like, you know what? No big deal. Just go home and get it fixed. No more. Don't bro. Look me in the eyes and tell me that a man can do that. Okay? Look me in the eyes and tell me that a black man can do that in this country. Because that's not going to happen. Oh, that's not going to happen. No. The only instance, well, Finster came out as non-binary, but prior to Finster coming out as non-binary, that would have been the only person. That would have been the only man to successfully pull that. Sabrina, I didn't know you were awake. Hi, Sabrina. Hi. Hi, Raiders. Hi, guys. We were talking about the police and how much we hate them. Cops are 100% easier on women. Both my brother and my boyfriend have had horrible interaction with cops, but mine I've gotten off way too easy at times. Yeah. No. Worst is a female cop compensating being tough in front of her peers, so she makes your life hell. Guys, respect all women, especially today on International Women's Day, except for female cops. We do not respect those women. All right? And if we can't agree on this, guys, you need to leave because not all you women, all right? Axon, thank you so much for the 6 months. Please imagine I said something funny. He's gender fluid, but still prefers he,
Hello.
him. Oh,
Please imagine I said something funny this month.
okay, got it. I'll see you in a few hours, Sabrina. See, guys, I have friends. I'm gonna hang out with Sabrina. People shy. I have friends. What about female ER nurses with cop husbands? Oh, that's hard. Oh, that's hard. I literally had the cops called on me, and all the male cop cared about was asking if I was good at Warzone because he saw that I was a streamer. I once farted at a cop and said, "There's a kiss for you. Guess what I look like? White, perhaps." White. Broke Social, thank you for the gift sub. Naomi, thank you for the gift sub. Thank you, guys. Anyways, back to the topic about racism. Yes, okay. So I think I've explained more or less what I've been trying to explain, which is you have to understand that when people use the term, specifically when people say the sentence, "You can't be racist against white people," they are not saying that you cannot dislike white people for being white. They are not saying that you cannot be excluded because of your skin tone that happens to be white. That's not what they're saying. They're saying that given the current power structures that exist, white people are not at mass risk of bigotry, systemic bigotry against them, or systemic racism against them. Maybe you'll get like people that are more distrusting of you if you're white and they're not. Because it's like, oh no, it's one of those cop white guys, or is this one of the farts at cops white guys? We'll see. Which is like, yeah, you're getting discriminated against because of your race. But that is very different from wait, I have to find it. One second. This is one instance that's a good example. I'm trying to find the specific case that I... Oh man, I'm struggling to find it. There was a major company that had this problem. For anyone who's been reading what's on the screen, it's talking about natural hair discrimination. For decades, LDF has recognized that natural hair discrimination is racism by another name. Through advocacy and litigation, they've worked to end race-based hair discrimination. What is hair discrimination? Hair discrimination is rooted in systemic racism and often helps preserve white spaces. Policies that further hair discrimination advance white Anglo-Saxon Protestant cultural norms as the default norms to which everyone should adhere. Hair and grooming policies that prohibit natural hairstyles like afros, braids, knots, and locks have been used to justify the removal of Black children from classrooms and Black adults from their employment. With no nationwide legal protections against hair discrimination, Black people are often left to risk facing consequences at school for their natural hair or invest time and money to conform to Eurocentric professionalism and beauty standards. And you can see here, this is the Crown Act. Here we go. Ayanna Pressley recently pushed. This is in 2022, guys. Okay? For anyone who thinks that racism is dead and gone when Obama got fucking elected. No. This is 2022. There's plenty of cases of dreads being chopped off by the schools in Jamaica. That's so sad. But Ayanna Pressley, what is it called? What's the term? Sponsored, I think is the accurate word. Crown Act to ban hair discrimination. Ayanna Pressley applauded the House passage of H.R. 2116, creating a respectful, open world for natural hair. Her legislation with Representative Bonnie Watson and some other people, Ilhan Omar in that list, would ban discrimination based on hair textures. Quote, for centuries, Black folks' hair, particularly that of Black women, has been politicized and weaponized to discriminate and reject the dignity and beauty of our people. Natural hair is beautiful, and no amount of racism or ignorance from the other side of the aisle will stop that movement. By passing the Crown Act of the U.S. today, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and that's it. There's just more jargon. Amazing bill. For anyone who's a little bit confused and they're like, I don't really understand, there are a lot of companies and schools that say, no, it is unprofessional for you to have your natural hair. Your hair needs to be straight. Wavy is the maximum. You are not allowed to have a fro. You are not allowed to have braids. You're not allowed to have locks. You are not allowed to have anything that makes your life easy. You have to conform, even though your hair texture is completely different than white people's hair texture. You have to spend the extra money, which it's very expensive, or spend the extra time making sure that you have straight hair. Because it's unprofessional. Shit is dumb as fuck. And you can also really damage your hair trying to adhere to these policies if you have 4C, for instance. Yeah. That is a racist policy. Show me a policy that is on this level against white people in the US. This is what people mean when they say you can't be racist against white people. Because there's one thing showing up to work with like crumbs in your beard or like lint and stuff in your hair. It's like, okay. Can you clean it just a little? Now that's unprofessional, maybe just a little unprofessional. There's nothing unprofessional about your hair growing out into a natural fro. As long as if you work in food service, you adhere to all the food service rules and like food safety rules. Yeah, that's fine. But like, how are braids unprofessional? How are like box braids unprofessional? What is unprofessional about that? Anywho, I think I've harped on this point enough. You guys understand what I'm talking about. So that was all to say, you can't be racist against white people. You can be an asshole to white people. You can refuse to hire a white person, but not tell them. Obviously, that's still against, what is it? 14? Article 14? Which one is it? Equal Rights Act? I don't know what I'm thinking of. I can't remember. I can't remember the exact one. Regardless, not relevant. It's unprofessional because they're scary hairstyles that make white people uncomfortable. More realistically, those policies are put in place to act as a barrier to prevent non-white people, or more specifically, Black people, from working at those places or going to those schools. And it is a statement of, you have to adhere to our rules as strictly as we want in order for you to be in our spaces, which is bullshit. It's racist. All right. Enough of this. Let's go back. I hate when people are like, oh, you can be racist against white people. It's like, you just don't understand.
No real people think this is true. This is something that only morons think. It doesn't matter how much that you repeat the message. It's very obvious that it's not true. Yeah, they do? Oh, yeah, of course they do. Well, unless it's somebody being racist against them, at which point they'll probably come up with an excuse of why it's actually not okay after all. People like that are a plague in gaming. Well, they're a plague, period. And I'm really glad to see everybody is shitting on her for this, because this is basically a person who is making, what do you call it? They're making light of people that are being racist. Obviously, you can be racist against white people. The only people who don't think that's true are people who are racist. That's all there is to it. There's literally no other way to look at it. This company...
The reason I'm making the face that I'm making is because this is the equivalent of someone looking at you in complete shock after you tell them, break a leg. And they're like, you want me to injure myself? I'm sorry. Wow. Do you usually wish harm upon other people? And you're like, no, man, it's just, everybody knows what I mean when I say that. Everybody knows break a leg means good luck out there. What are you talking about? It's like, no, you explicitly, did you or did you not say break a leg? This is the same thing. It's the same thing here. When someone says you can't be racist against white people and they live in the US and they're talking about the US, you are being intentionally obtuse and you are refusing to understand that statement, that sentence, you can't be racist against white people, that sentence has a very specific meaning. It doesn't mean that you can't hold ill will against white people. That specific sentence means there is no power structure that oppresses white people. But every single time people are like, I can't believe you would say to break a leg. And they take it to mean the most literal that it can mean, even though it's never the case.
Company is just simply a symptom of a problem. It's not like this company is forcing this stuff into the games. The companies are willfully inviting this company in to force it even more. The companies are the ones that are agreeing with them. The companies are the ones paying Sweet Baby. So if you're mad at these people at this company, I totally understand it. You have every right to be upset about it. But the reality is that this is not one of the four horsemen here. Like, the reality is that this is a systemic thing that's happening all across gaming. And if Sweet Baby Inc. went, you know, they decided to close the business tomorrow, this problem wouldn't go away because it's systemic. And so the thing is,
first of all, I disagree that it's happening everywhere in gaming. I disagree that everywhere in gaming has forced diversity. This is not even true. It's literally not even true. He understands what systemic means now. Weird, huh? Second, what is bad about that? What is bad about having more diversity in your game? Like, just inherently. I just don't understand, because he's saying it like there's something bad. He's saying it with like a tone of, can you believe they're ruining our games? What is wrong with having characters in the game that aren't white or men or whatever? There's nothing wrong with it. It's as long as the game is good, that's all that matters. That's it. That's all that matters. I don't give a fuck about all the different details. Yeah, my tweet fucking ruined it. Nasty moose pipe.
Is that she's right. And if you go through, let me go back and see. So she joined the group to encourage people to avoid these games because the group had deemed SBI was pushing a woke agenda by working towards greater diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yeah, that's basically what people think. Yeah, it's about that. And let's see here, a 2023 Kiwi. The Steam group now has over 100,000 followers in its own Discord, boasts nearly 2,000 members, but its ire against Sweet Baby Inc. and its diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives in general isn't new. October 2023, Kiwi Farms posts a similar sentiment. So what they're doing right here is, so Kiwi Farms is like just basically a, like it's a lolcow website where they just like have different threads about different content creators, etc. And they don't like different people. So what she's trying to do here is that she's trying to compare them to a group that is already seen in a negative light by, and then by extension of that, make them look like they are also those same people. Because there are a lot of people that have negative feelings about companies like Sweet Baby Inc. But why is it that they compared her explicitly to Kiwi Farms? Well, it's very simple. It's because that's the one that people that watch and read these articles will think, oh, it's like Kiwi Farms, that means it's bad. You see what I'm saying? The conversation around Sweet Baby Inc. has ignited a fundamentally misinformed GamerGate firestorm as employees have faced rampant harassment as a direct result. Disagreement is not harassment. Whenever you have a company...
Dare I say it? Dare I say it? Dare I claim caucasity here? How about you take the article at face value and assume, very reasonable assumption, mind you, that when they're talking about harassment, they mean harassment. It's so weird to read an article and be like, it's employees that faced rampant harassment, and be like, is it harassment? Or are they just getting criticized? It's like, why? I'm going to the store for milk. Is it milk? Is it? Are you sure? I don't believe you. What? Just, I need to know. What basis do you have for making an insane claim like this? What insider knowledge do you have that you feel like you can rewrite this article? I need to know.
That the existence of the company is in direct service of pushing an agenda, and people say, I don't want your agenda, you're not being harassed. You're being disagreed with. Nobody supports actual harassment. But whenever people are disagreeing and saying you're full of shit, get the fuck out of video games, that's not harassment. That's people disagreeing with what you're doing.
I like how we just like made up someone to get mad at. He just made it up. He's like, well, I'm going to assume that the employees aren't actually getting harassed. I'm just going to assume that. It's like, what?
I don't think anybody supports genuine harassment. Downvotes or hate. Yeah, you're being rejected. People don't agree with that. Industry figures have had to deny allegations that SBI comes in and completely changes their games. And this is also I think this is kind of a red herring. I think the entire Sweet Baby thing is a red herring in itself. Because as I said before, this is a systemic problem in video games in general. This has nothing to do, like, they are simply a symptom of the disease. So if they get removed and nobody uses them anymore, they go out of business, this problem will not go away and nothing will change. You see what I'm saying? I spoke with several employees to learn what the company actually does and how the misunderstanding of its role in the industry highlights a far broader problem. What do bad actors think companies like Sweet Baby do? Suicide Squad falling short of expectations, directly responsible for those failures, not the studios that employed them in the first place, because the content Sweet Baby allegedly forces into the games. Yeah, let's see here. It's absolutely not true. Wouldn't be portrayed as a white woman. This is not true. Yeah, and I think that this is absolutely true. The problem is not with Sweet Baby. It's with the actual development studios being infested by people that want to use video games as a tool to spread a message that the people that play the games and buy them don't want to hear. That's the
What? Now he's just gone full tinfoil. Now this is on the level of like gay agenda right now. Why does he think that this is like some plotting and scheming? What's the message? The message is like, hey, black people exist. What's the message? What? I have to hear it again. No, I had to have misheard it. He would not say something so silly.
Being infested by people that want to use video games as a tool to spread a message that the people that play the games and buy them don't want to hear. That's the real reason.
Can you tell me what the message is? I need to know. What is this message that is being spread by people who have infested these evil people, this woke cabal that's trying to put these woke in our games? What is the message? Tell me. I need to know.
That's the actual problem. Sweet Baby is like a secondary effect of that makes that easier. Sweet Baby is like a force multiplier for this behavior, but it is not where it comes from. It comes from inside these companies.
I love his chat is like the most two brain cell motherfuckers on the planet, and they just go full tinfoil. I just read a chat message, and you want to know what it read? Sorry, not read. You want to know what it said? It said, in order to get a degree, you have to commit to a certain perspective. This guy really just said, college is going to make you woke and they won't give you a degree unless you're woke. Business school would disagree with you. Business school would like to have a word with you.
Companies, and Sweet Baby is just simply being hired to make that force even more strong and even more powerful. You see what I'm saying? My evidence, a fucking tweet. Well, this I think this is good evidence, right? I mean, this is the person that works at a company and he's saying it's not true. Yeah, there you go.
What is the evidence? He didn't tell us what the message was.
Even games that are widely considered to be successes are not safe from those conspiracy theories. Well, let's be honest, though.
He can't say that it's just extracting money from the industry and ruining it. So he has to do mental gymnastics to blame that it's wokeness. I will explain, guys. The reason that companies do this is because companies recognize that having your primary audience be a bunch of degenerate gaming losers is not good and not very public friendly. And so a lot of companies, especially AAA studios, are trying to sanitize their public image so that they could be more mainstream, so that they can make more money. It's not sustainable to only appeal to dudes who live with roaches. It's not. That's a very small market share. And so they do their best to make their market share as large as they can so that they can make more money. It's literally just growing the pie and future-proofing it. Exactly. Maybe you'll grow with like an initial fringe audience, but you don't want to stay in that fringe audience forever because there's a lot of money to be made off of women. They be shopping. And there's a lot of money to be made off of non-white people that also be shopping. That's it. That's the only reason. It's not wokeism. There's not these secret people in power that are trying to spread an agenda or a message. That's not it, dude. It's literally a company trying to make money. That's it. That's it. That's all that it is. And you can dislike this company. That's fine. But please stop portraying it as if there are these secret actors in AAA studios that are making the games bad. When all of us know the thing that makes games bad is poor gameplay. Like the gameplay itself is janky or like it's not fun. I haven't played it or bought it because it looked boring as shit. But Hogwarts, the way that I saw or people describing it and the streams that I watched, it literally looked terrible. It didn't look fun to play. It was like the main attack was you sending these dog shit, basically magic missiles, and that was it over and over again. Someone compared it to like a worse version of a different game, and I can't remember. I can't remember the name. Have you seen Madden? Okay, so I guess here's an interesting question. Diversity is fine. A lot of people don't like forced diversity. If it makes sense for characters or setting, I all for it as a fellow filmmaker. What is the difference between diversity and forced diversity? And can you give me an example of forced diversity? Amazing to blame wokeness and one company instead of admitting that the games industry massively exploiting its employees and creating an ecosystem of crunch and impossible deadlines. If that's the real answer someone comes up with, they're stupid. Yeah, it's like, listen, man, the people don't like modern AAA games because they're not fun to play. It's not because there's too many women in the games or because there's too much wokeness in the game or because there's too many black characters in the game. It's because the game isn't fun to play because it's riddled with fucking bugs that crash your fucking game, boring gameplay, repetitive gameplay, stories and plots that don't make any sense and were rushed, visuals that are dog shit, and microtransactions. And that is because of crunch. That is because treating your workers like shit, guess what? Gives you a shitty game. So surprisingly, Blizzard's games don't have a lot of bugs. You can say what you will about Blizzard games, but relative to other AAA studios, surprisingly, not that many bugs in their games. I don't even know if in all of the thousands of hours I've put into Blizzard games, I've maybe run into maybe one bug. Maybe. Blizzard used to be known for being polished as fuck. Yeah. Oh, I don't play World of Warcraft. Lol. WoW players. Forsaken is a good example. It wasn't bad because it was a female lead. It was bad because the game loop wasn't fun. Yeah. Yeah. It's just the problem is, there's a very good video on it, but there was a cartoon that came out that had a lot of diversity in it and it got a lot of shit. And the core premise of that video essay was just that if you make media that doesn't have white dudes in it or like straight people or whatever, it is held to a higher standard and a higher level of scrutiny. If your game is bad, but it's filled with male characters, it's a bad game. And if your game was bad, but it had female leads, it's because the company spent too much time on diversity. And it's like, no, the game was just bad because it was bad. That's it. It depends if it an original story, no problem with it. It mostly rehashing remakes and reboots of characters in their now image, but not improving a character to modern view. Ah, yeah. Modern view? I also asked for an example, but so anyways.
Alan Wake 2, I don't think has made a profit, so it's important to keep in mind. Let's see here. 2K members already infiltrated. So what is this here? Okay, so this girl.
Sorry. 1 second. Tell original stories that include people of color and women. Okay. They're already doing that? I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on with all these weirdos. Baldur's Gate 3 is the best game I've played in a long time, and I'm a straight white dude. I don't care if I'm allowed to play a trans character, but I think it's cool that trans players have representation. See, that's because you're normal. That's because you're a normal person. You're a normal human being. For a gamer, anyways. I, for one, played a sissy. I played a cis woman in Baldur's Gate 3. And guess what? Someone else's ability to not do that did not impact my gameplay. I don't understand.
Girl apparently got into the. What is this? She got into the Discord group, and almost 2K members there.
What earbuds are these? These are just like AirPods.
Are already a bunch of infiltrated people here screenshotting everything, sadly. So just keep it cool, brothers. We can't let this server or the Steam group get taken down. That's all I ask. Keep it cool. There's a post from March 4th, which was shared again on March 5th. Several people in the Discord expressed concerns about glowies, a term coined by the far right for those suspected of being federal law enforcement officers and or informants in attempting to infiltrate their online spaces and set up for legal consequences. Yes, that is true. I think that's, yeah, basically, right? Let's see here. All right. I think that in general, like, there's a lot of overlap, but it's not necessarily that. So let's see here. Adds race and identity quotas to everything that they're involved with. Sweet Baby isn't forcing diversity. It's happening naturally. Well, I don't think that it's happening naturally. Because if it was happening naturally, you wouldn't see massive pushback to it. That implies that it's not natural. So I don't think it's happening naturally, but it's happening from the companies themselves. Sweet Baby is not doing it themselves. No one would care if it was natural. Yes, exactly. And so I think that the fact that you're writing this article implies that it's unnatural. And I think that everybody sees that. Let me see here. Any marginalized group can offer up content based on their identity. Is incredibly frustrating for the team. And
so there are insidious actors that are infiltrating their way into video games, and they have enough power to hire Sweet Baby Inc. to write more diverse characters, but they don't have enough power to hire anyone else or request anyone else create diverse characters. But if they did have enough power to do that, it would be okay? Because it's in-house? What is going on?
For marginalized industry members at large. People can't imagine what we might do anything else but diversity, equity, inclusion. They can't imagine that we're just talented writers. Well, yeah, the reason why people can't imagine that is because you're not. That's the reason why this is a problem in the first place. That's true, actually. That's probably the only part that is true.
Does he even know of a single game that this company worked on?
People can't imagine that you're a talented writer. Well, if they could, that'd be the only thing they could do. because they can't see it. You can't imagine the work that did in Spider-Man was the story work versus adding pride flags, you know? Yeah, sure. Let's see here. Sweet Baby and other industry leaders suggest that this dogged insistence on believing one company is forcibly injecting diversity into games is a side effect on a widespread misunderstanding of how games are actually made. Here, nobody cares how games are made. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares what the process is. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if
I guess classic. I don't give a fuck about artists in video games. Asmon, stop. There's still time. Wake up. It's just a bad dream. It's just a bad dream.
people are buying a game, they're not happy with the game, then that's the only thing that really matters. Now, whether Sweet Baby is making them do this or not is irrelevant. The end result is that people are getting games that they feel like are heavy-handed in the way that these games promote and spread messaging. They just don't agree with the way that the games are made. They don't like seeing these things in games. They don't like these political statements being made in games.
I hate political statements in games. So anyways, have you guys heard about Helldivers? Helldivers? Have you guys heard about Wolfenstein? Anyways, it's like, have you guys heard about like Bioshock or anything like that? Those are my favorite games. I love those games. Sir. There are a lot of games that are political. I don't know how to explain this to you. The CEO of the damn company for Helldivers literally tags tweets with "Don't be a fascist." These idiots don't know political message if it hit them in the dome. I once saw a black gay guy in my video game. It scarred me for life. How many games are war games? I'll have you know, war is not inherently political. See, wokeists, people who subscribe to woke ideology, would like you to think that war is political, but it's not. It's not. No. Sir, I hate to say this to you, but there's a lot of games that are political, okay? It's like, I'm sure someone could make the case for it, but like one of the few games I could say that isn't political. Actually, one of the few genres of games that I would say is very, very low on the political scale are like the cozy game genres. Like Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing. Like those are like the least political games you could make. So it's funny that like the women games are the least political. Oh yeah, of course it's anti-corporate. That's why the what is it, Joja company exists. But it's generally something that's not stressed. It comes up at the very beginning, and then there's like the community bundle aspect, and then that's it. Most of the rest of it is just like farming and having a good time. Or like again, Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is, I guess, what's his name? The raccoon. That's the most political part of the game. Not super political.
They find it to be, what's the word? Unnatural and forced. That's just the way it is. So if you're unhappy about that, that's fine. You know, you can disagree. That's okay. What messaging is inauthentic? Yes, exactly. It's inauthentic. And people don't trust these developers to make a story that's actually good on its own, because there's so much of a focus in Western media of making sure that entertainment media reinforces existing social norms. And I think that's a fundamental problem, and that every single thing in Western entertainment media has to be some sort of allegory to a real life issue. And you can't actually have bad characters in a lot of these stories whenever the characters could have some certain actual real bad traits, like for example being racist or sexist or something like that. So yeah, the people that are writing this article unironically think that you can't be racist against white people, and they have some sort of like, they're basically saying that what these people are saying on their Twitter accounts is okay. So to me, like, whenever I see somebody thinks this is kind of like astrology. Whenever I find out that somebody believes in astrology, I automatically take everything that they say less seriously, because I realize that, like, I am now dealing with a defective decision maker.
So as someone who doesn't believe in astrology, the extent of my astrology enjoyment is like, every once in a while, one of my friends who's into astrology will be like, "Oh, we should do our readings," and I'm like, "Okay, sure," because it's just like a fun little thing for me. Which the last time, that was in December, and I opened one of those astrology apps, and then the time before that was probably like 2 years before that. I think it's just like a cute little fun thing. It's like, "Ooh, look, are we compatible?" But there is nothing that gets on my nerves more than people who shit on women who like astrology. If you discard someone's opinions because they like astrology, I discard your opinions. As someone who doesn't believe in astrology. As someone who once got like a psychic reading just to see how much I could fuck with the psychic. And just like make shit up and see where they take it. And it's like, yeah, I did experience a loss recently. Yeah, because it's just fun. I'm still paying them money. I'm not making them feel bad. They're having a good time. I'm having a good time. I don't see the problem. All right. There's a little harmless, fun, victimless crime. All right, a little bit of fun. But there's just something I don't like about it. Is low-key, high-key, red flag. People who just like say this shit.
As an astrology, kind of like astrology. Whenever I find out that somebody believes in astrology, I automatically take everything that they say less seriously, because I realize that, like, I am now dealing with a defective decision maker.
As someone else in chat posted, defective decision maker, ? Coming from Mr. Dead Rat Alarm Clock, 400 moldy cups of soda, pet roaches, tooth blood wall. I just don't think you should be throwing those bricks in those glass houses. Man, Asmon, you need to watch what you say, because it's not a good look, sweaty. Yeah, stop it. No. No.
This is somebody who is not a logical thinker. They're not a rational person. So anything that they say or do, you just can't trust it anymore. So I think this is the same thing. Like, this is one of those things where if...
So sorry. As a woman, I find it so fun to mess with men and pretend like I believe in astrology because it makes them so mad. You know, honestly, that's such a big brain strategy to pretend to be into astrology. To see how, like, these type of dudes, like, to tell if the dude you're talking to is one of these or not.
Somebody says something like this, I immediately realize...
Also, sorry, I'm going to say it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to fucking do it. If you consider yourself Catholic or Christian, that is just as pie in the sky as astrology. Okay? It's something that makes you happy. It is something that is spiritual for you, that you believe in, that has no basis in any science. And that is your right. It is your right to believe in what you want to believe in. And if I may add on to that, level 99 Word Mage, thank you for the Prime. Drink, thank you for the 14 months. If I may add on to this, is it so crazy that people put their trust in the stars, or that like the origins of astrology, like the initial people who believed that the stars told your future, considering that people literally used stars to guide themselves home, and they used it for like navigational purposes. And guess what? You can see stars. We know stars exist. Like, it's confirmed. Stars do, in fact, exist. And you're going to be like, yeah, but that's different. You see this 2,000-year-old book? See that? Only brave enough to mention Christianity, huh? Wonder why? Because the person I'm criticizing is a white American? Excuse me for thinking that Asmongold was not raised Muslim. But nice try. And if you had spent maybe more than 2 seconds in here before typing, you would know, as someone who was raised Muslim, there is no religion I criticize more. Oh, trust me when I say that I criticize people who take religion, Islam included, too far. Okay? But nice try. If you want to believe the narrative that makes you happy and lets you sleep at night, go for it. Instead of just recognizing that obviously I'm going to bring up Christianity and Catholicism when I'm talking about someone who probably most likely would have been raised that way. Yeah, Christian persecution complex for real. They want to be victims so bad, man.
Wait a second. Oh, it's one of these people. Never mind, let's not take them seriously anymore. Because these people aren't really interested in having a conversation. They're not logical. They don't think rationally. They have dogmatic views on everything. And they're not willing to actually have a conversation. It's ridiculous and immature. Exactly. The sentence invalidated all of their opinions. Yes, it did. And whenever I see a person say stuff like this, I realize that they're just a moron. We should also consider the definition of racism. It's racism typically stipulates from a position of power. You're a boss and you don't like Mexicans, so you don't hire them. Well, that's not the way it works, because if you're found by doing that, you can be sued for discrimination. So.
Oh, I love him. Oh, he's so adorable. Oh, he's such a wee baby. Oh. An employer would never lie about why they didn't hire you. Guys, you can't murder. It's illegal. We have a law. It doesn't work. You can't do it. Employers literally just say the same thing every time, which is, we just felt like we wanted to go in a different direction and we found a candidate that was more suited for the job. You think a fucking employer is going to say, we didn't hire you because you're black? Like, oh, come on. Oh my goodness. Please, let's be realistic. Just for 2 seconds, man. Just for 2 seconds. Oh my goodness. Oh, rational, logical person. Yeah, this is this meme. 911, what's your emergency? What do you mean you're being murdered? That's illegal. People can't do that.
Like, that's not really true. Are there people that are racist? Yeah, of course. But if you think that the only people, like, you think there aren't racist Mexicans? Of course there are. Yeah, I mean,
And then this is always the thing that I love, which is pretending like that comment did not come from an American talking about American culture and talking about American systems. There are lots of places where lots of people are racist towards lots of other people.
you talking about? It's just like, again, this type of logic can only exist in an abstract of reality. Because if you actually apply this logic to reality in any sort of a workable way, it immediately falls apart, and you immediately see how completely, how much of a complete double standard this is. And this is kind of like the issue that a lot of these people have, is that all of their logic and all of their philosophy is created in a world that doesn't exist. Because they're talking about this on the internet. These are people that are, you know, like fucking terminal internet users. So
unlike Asmon and his community, those are people that go outside. I'm sorry. Low blow. Me too, Asmon. Me too. I also don't go outside, but that's because I guess I'm just going to be sick all the time.
So they don't even have any friends in real life in a lot of cases. They don't know how to act in real life. Probably in high school, they were losers. Nobody liked them. And so now they're on Twitter writing articles telling everybody else how they have to act.
I'm sorry. It's just so funny coming from him. I'm such a bitch. It's so funny coming from him. It's literally hilarious. Okay. Okay.
What is this? If I go to a channel and call them slurs, is that not racist because they're Chinese? They have power? Oh, if you go to China and call them slurs, is it not racist because they have power? Well, of course it is, right? And this is the thing, right? Is that, again, this is something I think with a lot of types of like philosophy that people have, is that the amount of ways that you can make it not make sense is directly related to how good the philosophy is. So the best philosophy is the philosophy that makes sense in every single way. And the worst philosophy is the philosophy that only makes
I am experiencing hardcore secondhand embarrassment. I have seen my philosophy professors like tear a new one on guys like this. It is so... I don't even understand how you could say that out loud.
Makes sense theoretically. And I think this is the case. This is theoretical philosophy. Do you think classism first and it leads to racism, or are they interchangeable? I think the US has had a huge problem with racism. It always has. It probably always will, just like every other country does. Like Japan has problems with racism. China does. I'm sure Russia does. I'm sure places in Europe do. Like, I'm sure Africa has racism problems. I'm sure the Middle East does. Everywhere has racism problems because people are racist. Like, there's nothing really unique about American racism that's special about us. The truth is, people do this everywhere. It's not special. Racism never left.
See, the difference is that we can't impact the laws in other countries. The US can't force, I mean, technically, if we bomb the shit out of a country, we kind of can, but we can't force every other country to become less racist. Like, you as an American, there isn't a way for you to impact change in fucking, like, I don't know, Puerto Rico or something. I guess Puerto Rico is technically a U.S. territory. Apologies, bad example. There's no way for you to impact change in, like, China's racist laws. Like, that's not, you can't. Whereas U.S. citizens are going to complain about racism in the United States because we actually can impact the United States. In addition, the racism in the U.S., you have to understand, it's built on the subjugation and slavery of Black Americans, or at the very least, their ancestors. White people have been slaves too. Okay, show me a country where white people have been slaves and the white people in that country live worse than the other people and the other races of that country. Are those countries racist? Do those countries have people that are racist? Yeah, of course. Have white people been enslaved? Yeah, of course. Every single people has been enslaved. Yes, that is correct. But if you went to any country, any of these countries, like literally go to probably any European country that has had white people that have been enslaved, you will see very quickly that the white people in that country do not live worse than the non-white people in that country. Because there's one thing to enslave, kind of like, you know what, let's not get into the technicalities because it's way, 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 way too long. Way, way, way too long. Ireland is like the closest, but that's before the Irish got folded into the white umbrella. Yeah. Also, have white people ever been enslaved systematically, specifically because of the color of their skin? They weren't being enslaved by the nature of their whiteness. Beautifully said. Whereas Black Americans, or just in general, Black people, when the U.S. enslaved or like engaged in the slave trade, the number of professionals or academics in that time that said that the Black brain was just more inclined to slavery and to subjugation, or that these people were savages and they needed to be trained through their subjugation. People care a lot about the fact that Black Americans had ancestors that were enslaved because we still hold a lot of this like prejudice in the US against Black people because it wasn't that long ago. And there's a very big difference between a lot of white people being enslaved thousands of years ago where it doesn't impact the current policies anymore, and slavery that happened fucking, dude. Did we forget about segregation, guys? That was when did Black people get the right to vote? I always forget the year. 1870. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's not that long ago. That's not that long ago. And we were still super segregated? Oh, I mean, like, we still had segregation. When was segregation banned? 1964. And there's one very important detail to this. And that is, if you are subjugating a group of people and they are easily identifiable by some physical quality, continuing to oppress these people is a lot easier than if it was impossible to tell if the person you were subjugating was a slave or not. Also, most places didn't do it until the 70s, yeah. You have a YouTube video on your views and criticism of Islam, by the way? No, I don't make a lot of YouTube videos. I'm sorry. 3/5 compromise is all you need is proof. 5 black slaves only counted as 3 people. I don't know how else you can see if when not even one whole human being isn't considered but a fraction of a person. Yeah. Yeah. For a very long time, there was a grandfather clause, which meant that if your grandfather could vote, you could vote. And also, if your grandfather could not vote, then you could not vote. Hence the need for the Civil Rights Act in the 60s. Yes. Again, it's a very key fact to remember that because skin color is so easily and quickly noticeable, it's much easier to continue to subjugate people that look very different from you, because it's easier to dehumanize them, than it is to continue to subjugate people who look like you. That's like just ingrained in your brain biologically. The other and the in-group. Versus, again, white people being enslaved, where there are, let me try and connect these two thoughts that I have. It's a lot easier to reintegrate the slaves of society or the children of the slaves in society when everybody looks the same. Because there's just no way to distinguish who had parents that were slaves and who should be treated worse because of that. It's too difficult in the same way that in, or like, maybe tangentially related, Nazi Germany, guess what? If you looked Aryan enough and there were no good public records on Jewish heritage, you were good. There were people who either joined Nazi ranks or were able to escape the country because the, what is it called? Like, I guess Nazis could not tell that that person was Jewish. You can just escape subjugation if you look like the people that are subjugating you. How are you supposed to do that when your skin color is completely different? And I don't like that people always bring up like, white people were enslaved. It's like, yeah, please stop trying to pretend like these are the same thing, because you know that they're not. You know that they're not. I know I wouldn't have been considered Aryan enough, even though I'm mostly German and Scandinavian. I've been called Arab and Jew before. I mean, yeah, there were Germans that were accused of being Jewish because they had a Jew nose. And they are fully German. The dumbasses who say white people are also enslaved just never ask who received the reparations after chattel slavery was abolished in the U.S. Checks notes. Oh, yeah, the owners. Yeah. So I think that those are important factors to remember. I think that the details are actually important. I don't even think a lot of them think that far into their defense, just simply because they don't care that white people were enslaved. They just want to discredit black people. Yep. Correct.
Well, to be fair, I think that we've done a lot to get rid of it. And I think that should be, it's weird how people don't take that into consideration of like how much work that like our cultures put into getting rid of this stuff too. Is racism a natural thing though? Yeah, I think it is. I think racism is natural.
For my sanity, I'm gonna assume that what he means is it happens. Just for my sanity. 'Cause I can't. I can't. I don't know how to say this, but like kids are not born bigoted. They're not. They're just not born bigoted. Yeah, I'm going to assume when he said racism is natural, he meant it in the way that cancer is natural. For my sanity. Why are you acting up? You said you feel better with people who look like you. Cognital dysfunction right here. It's cognitive. There is a difference between being racist and being comfortable. In the instance of like an in-group, out-group, it is more of a unknown of like, oh, I know this, I don't know that. I'm going to trust what I know. Versus, I hate you because of your skin color. Those are different things. Those are very different things. There's a huge, I feel like, step between, I don't know you or your people, so I will proceed with caution. Like if we were to approach aliens, some of us might immediately fuck the aliens. Maybe it's someone that streams, that's streaming right now. I don't know. Just an idea. And some of us might be a little bit more cautious and be like, okay, I don't hate these aliens or anything, but like, I don't they seem fine. I am going to trust humans more because, like, I don't know, we've only had aliens around for fun. But some of us might not. Sounds like racism. So what you're missing, okay, is that the in-group here would be human beings. And we as a society can teach people that the in-group is human beings. And there is no reason for us to be othering anyone else. Not to mention, not knowing is not the same as hatred. I wouldn't trust aliens that randomly show up. You're supposed to call before coming over to someone's house. Like, the best way to explain it, I will do my best. I got it. Story time. As someone who is Muslim, well, culturally Muslim, who grew up Muslim, who had Muslim parents, who had family members that wore hijabs, because it's apparently a difficult topic. Not knowing doesn't mean using a position of power to oppress, yes. There were many people that I feel like I ran into who knew nothing about Islam. They just didn't know anything, and they were like hesitant. They weren't against Muslim people. They just didn't know anything. And when you don't know what's on the other side, you are going to default to what's on your side. Just like you are going to have more comfort in the thing that you know. But guess what? Not knowing can quickly turn into knowing. Oh yeah, like we're Muslim, yeah. No, there's no bombs or anything in here. No, there's no IEDs. No. Do you want some food? No, there's nothing special about it. It's just normal food. Well, there's no pork in it. Just normal food. Yeah. You want some dessert? Here, we'll put some TV on. Yeah, put some music on. Anyways, we're just normal people like you. Oh, okay. You can take someone very quickly from like unsure and not knowing to, sorry, I found the word ignorance. Ignorance doesn't mean hate. If someone is ignorant of something and they're like, I don't know what this is all about, and then they are no longer ignorant, they don't immediately go into hatred. They go into, oh, okay, this is just normal people. Different culture or whatever, but just normal people. Versus you are inferior. Those are different. Those are different things. We are ingrained to trust what we know more, but that's just like survival instinct or whatever. And at the end of the day, the in-group should be all human beings. And we should be able to achieve that. And yeah, this is another great way to put it. I literally like it when I see different or unfamiliar people. Being nervous at the unknown is one thing. Being hateful towards differences is learned. Beautiful. If like the aliens come down and they have like 4 titties instead of 2 titties, and you're like, that's fucking disgusting. Your people should be subjugated. Man was meant to have 2 titties. That sounds like hatred. Being like, yo, 4 titties. I'm kind of nervous. What them titties do, girl? Oh. Snoo. I'm scared. They're just different things. There's different things. Where does hate originally come from if not being born with it? Teaching people. Generally speaking, it's profitable to convince other people to hate each other so you can continue to make money off of them. That's why conservatives in America hate Democrats, even though we objectively make their lives better. The people who vote Democrat objectively make the lives of people who vote conservative better. But the Republican Party knows that it's easy to be like, guys, the trans people, they're transing your kids and they're going to bathrooms and porn. Oh no, that was my search history. Anyways, yeah, we have to hate those people. You can convince other people to hate each other because it's easier than actually winning people over. If you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice that you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him someone to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you. Dead president. Yep. And it's like, it's people taking advantage of other people's ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I do not mean it in a pejorative sense. I mean it in a neutral sense. They're taking advantage of the fact that, like, okay, trans people make up a very small percent of the population. The chance that one of our voters will actually meet a trans person is very low. So we can convince them all these scary things about trans people because they don't know anything about trans people. Whereas any person who's ever met one trans person, one, knows that the trans agenda is like playing video games and getting HRT. That's the agenda. At the very least, my trans friends, they check their agenda every morning. They're like, okay, let's see, what does it say here? Okay. See, Civ 5. Okay, more Civ 5. More. Okay, and then, all right, then my job, and then Civ 5. And okay, yeah, that's my plan for today. So playing Hearts of Iron and calling themselves Gertrudes. Stop. Stop it. Stop. I used to be dumb and red-pilled. My brother came out as trans and I realized how dumb this shit was because they're just fucking people. I know, crazy concept, but trans people, they're actually just people and they just want to exist and get healthcare and be treated fairly. My trans agenda is watching streamers instead of working. But it's very easy to convince people that like trans people are trying to make more trans people, and they're trying to like convince your kids to become trans because it's such a fad and they're just doing it for fun. Whereas if you actually speak to most trans people, whether they get any surgery or not, whether they get like top surgery or whatever, I have met people that have been pre-op. I've met people that are post-op. I've met people that are just, they're comfortable in their bodies. They don't want any surgery. Just as an example. And I will tell you that I think we shouldn't deny people the right to do the things that make them happy. Because if you actually spoke to trans people, you would speak to people who tell you that they are not doing it for fun. They are experiencing sometimes severe gender dysphoria that is ruining their mental health. And sometimes if you speak to, as an example, again, I'm not making the claim that you have to get surgery to be trans. That's not what I'm saying. Just need it to be very clear that that's not what I'm saying. I'm just using it as an easy example for the point that I'm trying to make. Or if you talk to people who are post-op or people who have gotten top surgery, they will describe the gender euphoria and the absence of the gender dysphoria. And they're like, I actually don't hate looking in the mirror anymore. This is so sick. This is amazing. And when you actually meet these people, you realize that they're not lying or doing it for attention or for fun or whatever. They just want to be happy like the rest of us. Mini Coopers, thank you for the 5 months. I never understood the argument of I don't hate trans people, but just don't want my kids to be exposed to them. Like, why? You hate the idea of them becoming trans, even though that's not how that works in the first place? Yeah. Wanting to look a certain way and your body going in the opposite direction destroys your self-esteem. Oh, trust me, dude. Okay? Imagine getting surgery for fun. Like, who? Which, by the way, the entire premise is flawed. Yeah, let me just alienate. Let's pretend in this instance, I live in a conservative city with conservative family and conservative friends, and it's a small town. Oh, let me just alienate all of my friends and family and support systems, lose my job, get bullied at school potentially for attention? So that you can win at sports? Let me induce severe mental damage to myself, mental trauma, psychological trauma to myself, so that I can throw this stick farther. Hello? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my fucking life. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I can't believe how progressive people from Twitch and Reddit turned my opinions 180 degrees in the last 4 years. Yeah, I mean, there's a joke skit that I've shown on stream before. It's a comedian, and it's a good joke on like about trans people. And it's not punching down, which is sick. Because you can make jokes about trans people and they're fine and they're funny. But he says in the joke, like, generally speaking, every single time someone says that X, Y, and Z has gone too far, they've been wrong. Like the people who said, you know, interracial marriage is going too far, they were wrong. The people who said gay people are going too wrong, they were wrong, or going too far. Giving women rights, we're going way too far. It's historically always been incorrect. And so anytime you're about to think that and be like, I don't know if this, I think we're going too far. I think we're being too acceptant. Just check yourself. Just double check that you aren't on the wrong side of history. And my general rule is, if it's not hurting anyone and it's not negatively impacting the rest of society, yeah, sure, go for it. I might not understand it. I might never understand it. Like, I don't think I will experience necessarily like gender dysphoria. But hey, I mean, if that's what they're saying and all these people are saying it, I kind of refuse to believe that everyone's lying. That seems stupid. But let's try and finish this video. I might just give up halfway.
I think that really it's just people that are exercising some form of own group bias. Own group bias is basically like where you're going to provide preference and, more, you'll be more sympathetic to people that are like you. Like, for example, like me versus like other guys and other guys, women and other women. I don't know, black people and other black people, white people and other white people, people of one religion and people of the same religion. Like, that's just own group bias. So yeah, of course that's what happens, because you think about it evolutionarily, and of course those are the people that evolved because they were the ones that stuck with each other. It's just logically what makes sense. Now, we live in a world where that's not as relevant nowadays, but that doesn't mean that millions of years of evolution just suddenly disappear. Does anyone actually disagree with that take? Well, there are some people that do, and the people that do also probably believe in astrology. So it's not important to consider what their disagreement is, because it's not coming from a logical vehicle. It's coming from a moron. The simplest example of dumb group bias is the console wars between Xbox and PlayStation. Yep, there it is. Well, you and I disagree with most of what you say. I feel like you're just demonizing them. I spoke to people who think like that. A lot of them have friends and were successful in school. At least that's my personal experience. I don't know. I'm sure some of them do. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not like, of course, all of them are like that. But at the end of the day, these people are toxic, and I'm glad they get shit on. I think that in general, you should fight against any type of racism. And I understand that, like, again, people sometimes get mad at me for saying stuff like this and, or saying other stuff. I want to make it very clear. This is like a general, like, viewpoint that I have. I think people should be able to do and say and think what they want. And I am generally against judgmental people trying to push an agenda on anyone else, regardless of what that agenda is, as long as it's not something that's hurting people. So it doesn't matter whether it's religious rules.
I'm the lady singing in the background of this song that he's playing, this fucking tavern music. As I lose my sanity.
Against religious rules. I think this basically is a religion because it's, I mean, honestly, like, the Bible is more logical than this is. Let's be real.
Sorry.
I'd be more likely to believe a burning bush than believe this. It doesn't even, a burning bush makes more sense. It's a cult. Yeah, exactly. And so year 2024, uninhibited racism is kept alive by the anti-racists. Well, I think people are starting to see how ridiculous this is. Apparently you can't be racist towards white people. Racism is racism. Yes, every normal person thinks this. And so, yeah, these are the people. I just want to let you guys know, these are the people who are defending Sweet Baby. There are people who unironically think that it is good to be racist against white people. There it is.
Is he doing a tour de force of bigotry? Dude, one of these days, I want to pick this guy's brain. I need to have a conversation with this guy one day. What brain? Stop! That's so mean. Just because something is true doesn't mean you should say it.
It's sad. It really is. People are tired of being told how to think. Yeah. Absolutely. White isn't a race.
If someone tells you how to think and you get offended, I feel like that's more of a problem on you. There's lots of people who tell me what to think and how to think. I don't get my panties in a knot and I'm like, you're spreading an agenda. I'm just like, no, that's fucking stupid. Why would I believe that?
Of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah, what are you talking about? It's the same as black as a race. Is every black person from Africa? No. But people refer to all black people as the same thing. Yeah, of course it is. You're not going to try to, like...
Okay, Twitter. Now, I don't know these details. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. I don't know why people do it, but many a time on my Twitter feed, and I don't understand the cultural significance, many a time on my Twitter feed, I will see discourse, specifically usually like black community discourse, and then I will see like a reply from someone, and then other people replying saying, this guy's Nigerian, opinion discarded. Now, I don't know why that is said. I don't know enough about Nigeria or Nigerians or their relation to America. I don't know enough about this. Sorry. But I will tell you that people on Twitter seem to find a distinction. So this idea that everyone thinks that they're all the same is not correct. No. And I know this from my scrolling.
Fool me with this kind of stuff and try to intellectualize it. We clearly know what you're talking about. Should we be banned for that? Yeah, guys. And this is, again, this is what I was saying before about how this is intellectualizing common
just
sense.
Popped into stream.
You're not
World
going
is
to do
crazy
this
right now. Free Palestine.
Oh, yeah. Magic Sun, thank you for the 6 months.
Okay? Like, every most normal, reasonable people see what's happening, and they disagree with it. I mean, I can see where it's come from. It's incredibly dishonest to say it morally correct on white people as a whole, though, same as any other race. Yeah, and I think that and this is the problem, is that even monkeys can perceive unfairness. Monkeys can. You're not going to convince people at large that this obviously unfair thing isn't unfair. It clearly is, and everybody sees it. I'll read a few comments about this, but overall, and the worst...
Monkeys also fling shit at each other. Do you want to make a more salient point, perhaps?
Part about this is that she's right in a lot of cases, that it's not just this company that's doing it, and people are attributing all of this stuff to this one company. It's not necessarily just them. It is a lot of people doing it. However, the goal that she has is not a good goal. They want a way to silence dissent in any way they can. They do. And that's what they try to do. They try to shut people down, and they don't want these people. What they are the most afraid of more than anything is a free marketplace of ideas, because the ideas that they have and the values that they hold cannot exist in a free marketplace of ideas, because they won't survive. No normal person actually thinks this is true. This can only exist inside of a safe space. It's not subject to scrutiny, because if it is, it would no longer exist. Critical thinking is poison for them? In a lot of cases, yeah. Can I give you a valid explanation on why astrology has some grounding? Just
if you spoke to any single person that said you can't be racist against white people, if you spoke to one of these people and you said, do you think that you can have ill will towards white people? They would say yes. And if you told them, do you think that someone potentially could refuse to fire someone for being white? They would say yes. And if you gave them examples of instances of people showing prejudice against white people, they would agree with you every time. They wouldn't be like, no, it's not happening. No, it's not happening. They would tell you, yeah, those are all incidents of people with prejudice against white people. But that's not the same thing as someone enacting racism against someone else. Those are different things. Also, to talk about safe spaces as a Twitch streamer, oh, come on, man. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. There is not a more safe space place to be than a streamer with their chat.
Just a little bit of grounding? No, I'm not interested in that. I don't care about that. If you think it's real, go ahead. I don't want to collectively reduce the IQ of everybody else in the chat any more than I already have. So no, I'm not interested in that. I'm sure that you can come up with some abstract reasoning that I could probably assume, right? Because it's like the time that you were born, it's like certain pivotal moments in your life would happen at different seasons, and the different seasons would impact you in different ways. Yeah, sure, I can see that. But that's clearly not what we're talking about. And that's like you're trying to go from 0% to 1, and I'm saying it's not at 100. It's not even at 50. Obviously, these people are toxic poison. They should be shit on as much as you possibly can. They do have some elements of what they're saying that are right, but at the end of the day, these people are terrible. They are toxic. They are parasites. And I think in general, I am so glad to see people finally waking up.
You know, I would have so much respect for him if he addressed the fact that, like, those people are very clearly talking about systemic racism. I'm not going to harp on this any longer. I would have so much respect for him if he said, I understand what they're talking about when they say that you can't be racist against white people. I just wish that they would stop saying it that way because a lot of people misunderstand and find that language to be divisive. And instead, we should try and use language that is simple enough that anyone can understand what that person is talking about. I'd be like, dude, that was a great point. But instead, he just is like, this is dumb because I think so. Also, shit on as much as possible sounds like harassment. Yeah.
And calling it out. It's disgusting. Thank God.
What an ending. What an ending. What an ending.